So hello and welcome to the Books Crypto Club catch-up on Zoom. We meet every Sunday and we talk about blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFTs, anything else of interest really. So if you enjoy what you see today, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the like. Do come along and join in the sessions as well. They're open to novices, to experts, to everybody in between. We never really know what we're going to talk about. Really depends upon who the audience is. So sometimes we talk about beginner type things, sometimes a little bit more intermediate, and sometimes real expert stuff about, trading and exchanges and that kind of thing. So hope you enjoyed today. Don't forget, click on that subscribe button as it goes away. And let's see who's going to join us today. Hey, Sam. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How's life?
Life is good. I'm relaxing and zoning. I'm looking at the long game.
You're recovering from the price correction of a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's been expecting it to rally back a bit stronger and sooner, but it seems the September thesis seems to be out of the window. So we're just going to have to be a bit more patient.
We'll see. And Paula, hey, good to see you. I get to say those magic words. Paula, you're on mute.
You're on mute, yeah. Yeah. How's everybody?
Yeah, not too bad. Living the dream.
Aren't we all?
And we've got Lewis has joined us as well. Hey, Lewis, say hi.
Hi there. I'm actually just trying to get the Zoom link up on my computer opposed to my phone just now. Okay. What's the meeting ID room number, please?
It is. Ooh. In fact, looks like 851.
Oh, I've got it actually. There we are.
Oh, actually, 951. Yeah. So
yeah.
You got it. You sorted. You're going to hop off and hop back on then.
Yes, I am. I'm just going to be coming right back in. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So, Paula, what's new in your world? Anything exciting?
Absolutely nothing. I'm just chilling, playing the long game as well now at the moment. So I am. Yeah, I've been following some interesting theories. So I have. Has anybody been following the moon phases?
No, but I have heard about that.
Have you heard about it? So I've been following the moon phases quite closely for the last couple of months. It's really, really interesting. At the start, I shared it with a group as a joke, but it was uncannily correlated. And the whole group, we've kind of been following it since. And, it's very uncanny how it actually is bang on T. I can, if you want me to share screen and share it, which is.
Maybe you're in control, sorry.
I can. Just let me bring it up first. Get rid of some of the stuff I have on my charts at the moment. Sorry, chat away there for a second just till I bring up this indicator for you. It'll take me a second to get it on and the chart sorted out.
Okay, no problem.
Bitboy did a video, didn't he? He was like, I was wrong again with his predictions. He was calling for the kind of main rally to start or even end. The blow off top for Bitcoin to happen in September.
Okay.
He's released a video. He's kind of the way he's released it has released a bit of panic, but you'd have to be a bit of an idiot to take everything he says super serious. But okay. Yeah, he's like, oh, I was wrong about Bitcoin, and he's kind of made out that he's doubting the price prediction which he's made, which is 100K.
Okay.
And he's got the largest following on the YouTube, so he should be more responsible and clear in his communication.
Okay.
I find him a very dubious character. So to say the least.
Say the least.
Yeah. I think some of it are just in for the entertainment value. I think they just want to be YouTube stars, and it just happens sometimes. It's crypto they're talking about. But have you managed to?
I've managed. So am I set to share screen? Am I allowed to share screen? You have it disabled at the moment.
Okay. Hang on a moment then. Let me just do. Actually, no, I'm not sure.
So if you have it down the bottom in the host settings, you should have a share screen.
Yeah.
And when you click that, you should have multiple options. And one of them should say something on the lines of allow multiple participants.
Yeah. Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
Give that a go.
Yeah. So I can share now. So can everybody see this now?
Hey, there we go. Yeah.
That's
a lovely chart.
So this is the Bitcoin chart going way back when. Okay, so it's going right back to March 2020. And it's just uncanny when we get these moon changes, how the entire market actually shifts. Now, it doesn't correlate with every single coin, but it correlates extremely well with Bitcoin, extremely well with Bitcoin. So you can see here, I call the market top. It's calling each top fairly accurately and each bottom fairly accurately. So I've renamed these moons from new moons and full moons to bull moons and bear moons. So we're actually due a bear moon on Tuesday. So the market sentiment is to change based on this on Tuesday, and we should see the bulls take over slightly for a while based on this.
So just talk us through that for a moment then. So above the Bitcoin prices, we've got a moon symbol. Is that the new moon?
Okay, so I'll just open up the settings so we can see exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Full moon. I'll make the full moon black. So the bottom one is the full moon. So that's what I'm calling the bull moon. And we have the new moon is the clear moon.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the full moon down here, and then we have the new moon. And I'm not into astrology, okay? I was never an astrologer or anything, but I did start looking into when do the moon cycles change and all that sort of stuff. So a full cycle from new moon to new moon is 28.5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's kind of every 14 to 15 days that you see this shift and change, and it's quite obvious through the charts. You can't really dispute it. So this particular indicator itself is called, if anybody's interested in, it's just called moon phases.
Okay. And
it's actually been used in normal currency trading for quite some time. I didn't know any of that either. I found out about this around here and have been following it closely since.
Okay. So in really simple terms then, buy on the full moon, sell on the new moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very simple.
Yep, that's nice and easy. I can live with that.
There you go now.
Why are they placed where they were on the charts? I don't understand why you would they would be placed on the charts around the Bitcoin price.
They're placed there based on the date. So it's the date that the moon changes. Okay. So you're not just placing them above the high price and the low price. They're the actual dates that the moon phase change, the real moon phases change.
Okay.
I'm going to start having to build an Excel spreadsheet or something on this now. You got me intrigued. So thanks for that, Paula.
Did you say there will be a shift?
Yeah, so there's to be a shift on Tuesday. Now, I've noticed that you could start to see the shift 2 or 3 days before to 2 or 3 days after. It's not bang on the button, but it's fairly accurate at marking microcycle tops and microcycle bottoms.
Okay, what wants to watch out for that? I see got Rachel and Dinesh have joined us as well. Hey, Rachel. See, Rachel's doing the same sensible thing. She's just waving but not saying anything. Well, say hi, Rachel.
Hi, I'm quite interested in this moon thing. It's quite interesting because I did my PhD on lunar cycles and animal behaviour.
Oh.
Okay. So a lot of animals change their behaviour with moons. So it's quite interesting. But what you need to do with that data really is scatter graph and do a regression on it to see how strong the association is and whether it's a chance, whether it's chance or not. It doesn't look like chance. It looks quite good, but
it does. And if you look at it against other charts, it's not as accurate at all. Like Solana goes totally the opposite way to it. You know, some of them you can still play with, but it's in the opposite direction. And then some of them have absolutely no correlation at all. You can't see any type of correlation at all. But in terms of marking tops and bottoms, it does seem to be.
It does definitely look like there's something going on there.
Well, it looks like there's a reasonable degree of correlation, doesn't there?
Yeah.
There's a tendency, though, which is something. So, check into that. Sorry, Dinesh, you were going to say hi.
Yes. Hi, Gary.
Hey there.
Yeah, I just joined, I think, for the first time to see what this is all about. And I'm finding it interesting from what Paula is saying. Yeah, thank you. I'll listen in. Yeah.
Great. Well, it's open to all levels. And it just so happens we've got some experts with us today, particularly with like Sam and Paula and Rachel. I think you've been getting interested in this more and more of late as well. But so you know, we've got a range, but Paula just came across this one where we've just been talking about the connection of cryptocurrency prices and lunar cycles, and it's fascinating just to see the correlation. And Paula, I guess Solana works in the opposite phase because Solana is presumably with solar cycles as opposed to moon phases.
I didn't know there was solar cycles. Oh no! Oh no!
And there's a lot of other moon cycles as well. There's like 18-year ones, and there's other types. There's lots of different moon cycles. So that 28.5 days is how long it takes to go around the Earth. Is that right? Yeah, but there's really long ones as well. And then solar cycles are to sunspots and whatnot.
Yep.
And there's also then magnetic fields. You see, then you can start looking at them.
Oh God.
So there's so much, isn't there? Because solar cycles are on 7 and 13 years, I think it is, something like that. So this is the thing. All of a sudden, you think astrology is a load of bunkum, and then you suddenly realise that maybe there is a connection with these massive moving objects and how they affect things. So,
see, I wouldn't call this astrology. What
are solar winds then? Are solar winds anything?
They are magnetic storms, I think, aren't they? Where it disrupts the magnetic field of the Earth.
I just typed solar into indicators in TradingView, and I've come up with a solar winds indicator.
Yeah, it causes magnetic field shifts on the Earth. Yeah. And then quite often I look at animal behavior with the magnetic fields and also the moon at the same time. But astrology is like just all to do with whether it's going to predict the future. But I think this moon thing, it's something else. It's either going to be a biological thing where because I believe this, people, women's cycles are entrained by the moon, and men, and also there's some testosterone. In a lot of animals, testosterone follows a lunar cycle. Okay, so it could be people are a bit more, men are the main buyers of cryptocurrency, actually, I think. So if the testosterone is cycling with the moon, then they're going to feel more confident at some parts of the cycle and less confident at other parts. So then it's a real biological effect. If it's not that, it could just be some other factor, like somehow some other correlation with people's confidence. Somehow, maybe to do with there's more light. This later, I don't know, but I don't think it's astrology. I think it's a real thing.
Well, looking back on the charts from it, the likes of the summer equinox and the autumn equinox, they don't seem to affect it or make it turn or anything like that, or have a stronger impact. It just seems to most of the time just flow.
Well, maybe
if you actually put in, there is a field called financial astrology. I think people are using astrology to on a bigger scale, not on a micro scale, like specific markets, but general macro trends and that kind of thing. There is, based on the cycles of the bigger planets like Jupiter and Saturn and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And Paula, you mentioned this indicator that you mentioned just now, moon phase indicator. This is being used for some currency pairs also. Would you know which ones specifically?
No, I don't know. I don't know which ones. I've just mapped it against all the coins that I'm following. I just had read that it has been used for quite some time in normal FX trading as a trading tool.
Yeah.
So
I guess the very fact it's a trading indicator on TradingView, because it's one that TradingView's got a list of indicators you can use, and that's one of them, isn't it?
well, anybody can submit an indicator. You just have to be able to code, and you can put an indicator up on TradingView.
Okay.
So anybody, I don't know who put it up.
There's a stock market correlation as well that I remember reading about with stocks and shares. I'm just trying to find it. How do I send it? Is there a chat thing?
Yeah, at the bottom there's a chat. If you click on that,
oh yeah,
the link in there. And in fact, while you're doing that, I'm just going to say hello to Fazal, and also someone's got a very nice logo of Sinclair.
Hi,
Midas.
Gary.
Hey Fazal, how's it going?
Yeah, good, not too bad.
You're missing out. We're talking about a totally different way of
I know.
crypto markets.
I got lost there a bit.
But I think I summed it up with a really simple thing, that it's when it's a full moon buy and when it's a new moon sell. I think that was the two indicators, wasn't it? But broadly speaking, that's the way it worked out. Is everyone there?
Yes, we're all here.
Oh.
We're just listening.
It's all right. It's just that. Well, I wondered that because Paula's picture to me is just frozen, and I thought, is she just thinking really hard about this, or is it Wi-Fi lag or something? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I was actually going into my connection is saying it's unstable.
No. Those are. I thought that's just too difficult a question. Well, no mind. We got someone else who's trying to introduce themselves as well. The Sinclair Midas one.
Hi, Gary. Yes, that's me, Lewis.
Who is it, sorry?
Lewis. It's Lewis Sinclair. I joined earlier and disappeared for 10 minutes while I had some tech issues.
Okay, no problem. The tech issues were probably my fault because I sent a link out today that wasn't complete. So I think a few people may come in a little bit late, but good of you to join us.
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear what you guys have been discussing in relation to some less traditional methods of analysis and sort of theories as to how people do invest. And I think that there's certainly something to draw a comparison with. If you compare what happens when some form of...
I think you're right. That's why it comes down to, ultimately, when you're looking at indicators, you just need to look at the correlation to see if there's a correlation and causation. As to why it is, it doesn't really matter, does it? You know, if the price always goes down when this happens and it always goes up when this happens, the psychology behind it or the biology behind it maybe doesn't matter so much, but it's useful to know. So
I think one of the interesting ones, which is kind of nearly comparable, would be whenever there's a big incident that happens in Japan of concern. The last one of being the COVID, of course, but prior to that, the Fukushima incident. Typically what happens is international investors bring their capital back into the country. They liquidate from abroad and bring that back in, and it tends to push the yen upwards. So it's just one of those interesting things that happens as a status quo, another indicator to take advantage of.
Yeah. Sorry, Rachel, you're going to say something? I thought you were. Never mind. In that case,
I can't remember what I was going to say. Sorry.
No problem. I'll say hi to Vinod, who's just joined us. Then, hey Vinod, how's it going?
Hi, Gary and everyone. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Sorry, I can't switch on the video yet. Not in the state to show my face. I'm a bit tired and I'm in bed. So, yeah, young kids and Sundays is always quite difficult to join. I remember this time, so
I get the same. That's why I'm always putting my makeup on at the last minute and everything. I've got the virtual background as well, so you don't see what's really going on behind me. So let's go back to the markets then. Sam, you've been watching what's been happening.
Yeah, of course. So I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the really the dailies as much as I was. I'm more looking at kind of the Bitcoin super cycle and Ethereum as well, and I've been looking at the bullish divergence with the on-chain data. Like so many people have pulled their Bitcoin, and the liquid supply of Bitcoin is very low, and the divergence between what's out there and the price means that within a month you're going to be looking at a massive gain in Bitcoin. We just got to let these trades work themselves out for maybe a couple, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks more. But then I can't see anything else but complete moon phase, shall we say? So it looks very good. It looks very good. Like when I say long term, well, within a couple of weeks, or certainly by the end of October, I think we'll see a massive increase in the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I wouldn't be surprised if those two went in tandem either, to be honest.
Okay, and then you've been watching Cardano and ADA as well, haven't you? Which that they released their latest upgrade last Sunday. It now has smart contract capability with, is it Hydra, the release that they did?
Yeah, they do. I executed some quite good trades actually on the day. I felt quite good about that. And then I lost them on Solana the next day. But anyway, Cardano is going. Is kind of painting like a little bit of a kind of a bull flag. It's a, you know what? Everyone in the market is just a little bit hesitant at the moment. They're thinking, come on, when's this epic bull run going to start? We want, when's it really going to fly? And everyone's just waiting and waiting for this futures at the end of the month. Once we get into September out of the way, I think everything is going to fly higher. With the exception of protocols. Protocols are flying, absolutely flying. They're just lovely at the moment, aren't they? Avalanche. Okay. Yeah.
Because I was just going to pull up the pull up the Cardano price chart in a minute, but yeah, carry on talking.
It's a good one to invest. Like always buy low, right? But Cardano seems to be optiming out. I can't see, relatively too much of a bear face on Cardano. Maybe another 10%, but October, November, we could be seeing just huge gains.
See, we can just about see it. The new smart contracts went live. I think it was the 12th. So certainly it had quite a nice uplift for a while, but hasn't quite done what a lot of people are expecting. I think this is maybe the thing as well. Like everyone seems to think that when you introduce functionality to the platform that a cryptocurrency sits on, that it will affect the cryptocurrency price. And I don't think it does. So maybe this chart validates that.
You had the simplistic thing of buy the rumor, sell the news. Now, if you think about where Cardano's price action started at from January until that day, it's really a massive run up. The thing is, you had that very simple. Like everyone was predicting that everyone was going to sell. There was a little bit of FUD that really stopped a really parabolic moon phase prior to the smart contracts coming out. And of course, it's not like you have smart contracts and everyone just hops on the day that they go live. It's a complex process. But with it, like often happen, you're going to keep on getting more and more smart contracts releasing. It's going to move like little parabolic phase, little pumps just keep on heading up.
But this is the surprising thing. I've got the chart up on the screen at the moment, and it looks like it kind of peaked around 277 last weekend as it all went live, and then it dropped. So you're right in terms of like buying the rumor, sell on the news, although the go live date of Hydra was known in advance type thing. But it's just the way it's kind of stabilized. It's in between like the 237 to 238. So it's quite a narrow range, staying below the 250 mark.
Certainly an accumulation period.
Yeah,
a good place to get a good entry point actually. If you're brand new to the market, it would be a bad place to get in. And then once these smart contracts keep on hopping on, and like Sunday Swap and etc. There's so many things that will come on.
Yeah.
Cardano.
So I guess the thing that, you know, that this isn't financial advice, but that could be an interesting one to go for. But before you do that, do go and check the moon charts first to see what phase Cardano's in. And then you discover that Cardano operates out of phase or something or completely different. So, but the interesting one, I always say that the thing that's actually affecting this is a butterfly flapping its wings somewhere. Rachel, go for it.
You're on mute, Rachel.
Takes me ages to find the button. But what I might do, because it's quite interesting, is I might just plot the data out and see which coins are affected by the moon and which ones are not, you know, because I think that, because a lot of them move with Bitcoin, don't they? So they'll be the same, presumably.
Yeah, a lot of them are very much in phase with Bitcoin. Yeah. But so, someone was saying this, I think it was on one of the crypto forums the other day about, are all the altcoins in phase with Bitcoin? And I said yes, until they're not. Yeah. And that's all it is, that, yeah, sometimes they are and sometimes they're not type thing. So, and there's no real way of knowing.
There's something on, isn't it on Coinbase? They've got a thing where it gives a percentage of how much they move together. Each pair, they say how much they move together. I've seen it somewhere. Okay. They say, like, you know, this coin moves 98% with, you know, together with Bitcoin, and this one only moves 10% together with Bitcoin. Or whatever. I'm sure that's on Coinbase or one of those places. Okay. Which is quite useful to know, because some of them really are decoupled completely and other ones are not. But the other thing I was going to say is I am mainly buying ADA right now because I really think that's the one that's going to go crazy and take off. Okay. Because is it ADA is a proof of stake one? Yes. Yeah. So I think these proof of work ones are going to be more problematic, and I think the proof of stake ones are going to be better because of the environmental side of things.
It's going to be interesting, particularly on things like NFTs, which are growing in interest at the moment in the digital art world. And a lot of them are based on Ethereum, and a lot of them digital artists are into, you know, saving the world and not consuming resources now. And some of them have kind of said, oh, well, I'm not going to go on to minting NFTs, certainly not on Ethereum right now, because of the environmental impact, which is funny because when they talk about the environmental impact and you look at their studio setup with all the lighting and the multiple cameras, and it's like, you think, do you realize how much electricity you're burning producing this video to say that you don't want to burn electricity? So, yeah.
Well, it's like Elon Musk had a go at Doge because of its environmental impact. But I mean, what's his environmental impact? You know what I mean?
Well, I think his environmental impact was to tweet at the right time when he knew what the market was doing, or he was determining what the market was doing. So,
if you know what, don't you go to prison for doing that?
No, with crypto. So this is the conversation I keep having with people at the moment. That because crypto is unregulated, you can't technically do anything illegal trading wise. So things that are illegal in financial markets, you know, front running, market manipulation, consortia doing things, that's all illegal. But because crypto is not a legally recognized financial instrument, it's Pokemon cards.
I think
so it's not a security. It's not classed as security. That's that Ripple thing. That the whole thing about that. That's interesting. So he is blatantly manipulating markets, actually.
Well, Floki Inu. You see Floki Inu, what he did?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Like his brother-in-law. He's made his brother-in-law super rich. Like Floki Inu, and this Floki Inu token or coin came out, and he's like 7x'd it.
Paula, were you going to say something there?
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, yes, no, I remember. There was some NFT company that came out on the last few days to say that there was insider trading going on there on new releases of NFTs. I can't remember who it was though, but it was all over the crypto news.
What was happening there, or what I'd heard about that, was that somebody would mint an NFT themselves and then use a different account, buy it themselves for say $100,000, and then somebody else would offer them, you know, 30% down on it, but it doesn't matter because he's bought it with his own money and then he's just sold it to somebody else for a quote unquote loss.
Ah, okay.
But that is pumping and dumping, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
like
And,
you're pumping it artificially and then dumping it on somebody else.
I think to bear in mind as well, Elon Musk's relationship with the SEC and the charges that have been brought against him previously. He knew exactly what he was doing when it came to this cryptocurrency stuff, and I think he'd done it just to stick the fingers up to them. That's definitely what he done with that one because he hates them, and he hates them as well.
Yeah. Well, he stepped down as. Did he step down as chairman of Tesla? Because he was making some comments at some point, which the SEC said, "Look, you just cannot do that." And so he agreed that he'd step down as chairman, and also that any future tweets he sent out about Tesla would be reviewed by his legal team first.
Yeah.
So yeah. Go, Paul. Was that just laughing, or are you going to say something like that?
Yeah, laughing.
Yeah. And I get. Go on, Dinesh.
Actually, looking at recent developments that are happening in crypto, three things jump out to me. Basically, they stand out, and because we are saying that crypto will die, crypto will not go mainstream, and it's not a store of wealth and exchange. It's not a medium of exchange and so on. But there are three developments that come to mind to me, and that pop out for me are basically that it is being looked at by regulators. SEC and all for and so regulatory authorities are looking at it. The second thing is tax people are looking at it because they are saying that if you make a profit on any crypto trading or crypto holding and that kind of thing, we will tax you. And the number three thing is it's being adopted as a currency in El Salvador, and and of course it's being used as medium of exchange. In some places, you can, I think, pay at some places using. So these three things together tell me at least that crypto is here with us to stay. It will not disappear. Of course, within crypto world, there are so many coins. Some of them might not be as successful, but
yeah. I think you're right. My point has always been about regulators. That over time the regulators will begin to step in more and more, and what that means, you'll end up with some crypto being regulated, and that will actually increase the market for crypto, because that then allows more traditional people to move into that space. Because at the moment, as a hedge fund, you can't put a big position on crypto because you can only commit a small amount to something that's not regulated. And it's interesting when you mentioned El Salvador. So they've been having some challenges with the Bitcoin adoption.
Yes.
I think, again, this comes down to kind of like politics and societal type things, that some people in the country believe that Bitcoin is being used to manipulate the masses or whatever. But it's curious as well because El Salvador's now it's the third highest number of Bitcoin ATMs in a country. The other two being, I think it's the US and Canada. So density-wise, it must have the most ATMs in the smallest amount of space. But I always find Bitcoin ATMs kind of fascinating. It's like, so what you want me to do is you want me to bring some money to put into a machine that'll give me a piece of paper that I can use like money. I've never quite understood it, but they seem to be getting there. And they've gone into an alliance as well with... forgotten who the player is now, to continue developing what they're doing with crypto, which is kind of quite interesting. So it's interesting to see what's going on around the world. So like Russia is always worth watching as well. And the Russian central bank has just informed the domestic banks to refuse to process crypto payments. So a little bit like in the UK lately, where I'm sure a number of us have had challenges with your Binance accounts or your Kraken account, or whatever, connecting it to a UK bank account and paying in or paying out, which seems to be getting a little bit easier now something's been agreed with the FCA in that. It's interesting, in Russia, the state bank has said to the domestic banks, don't accept crypto payments or handle them in any way. So Dinesh, I think you're right. There's all sorts of regulations going on all over the place, and I'm still waiting to see what happens with India, where I think it's the cabinet has had a proposal for 3 weeks now around crypto regulation, because the rumor was that they were going to make any non-state-backed cryptocurrency illegal to use, so that would prevent Bitcoin, Ethereum, that kind of thing being used for buying and selling, but means if they were going to adopt something as like a central bank digital currency, or something like Ripple or Stellar, if the banks are using that, where it doesn't hit the retailers, that would be okay as well. So interesting times.
The adoption of Bitcoin is huge, though, isn't it? It's one of the largest in the world.
Say again, Sam?
The adoption of Bitcoin in India is one of the largest in the world. I think it's in one of the top 3 countries, like per population. It's in chronic demand, So it seems a bit of a counter, intuitive. It's against innovation. India's always flip-flopping on Bitcoin anyway, to be honest. It's quite frustrating.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, in terms of wealth, one of the countries to watch out for, I think, is Saudi. The Saudis have openly said we can't do oil forever, and Bitcoin is where we need to be. They're a kingdom. They're very different to the world that we live in. They're still ruled properly by a kingdom, and their policies to implement them seem to be an awful lot easier. They just make decisions like that, and then it's done, by the sounds of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've been accumulating and will be coming out with some sort of statements in the next while.
Yeah. I think you might be right, because Saudi Arabia, along with a number of other Middle Eastern states, particularly in the UAE or the Gulf States region, has been doing a lot of research into using crypto. So there's a project a few months ago, Project ABBA, which was a interbank settlement experiment between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and I think it was Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Kuwait, and maybe a couple of others in that area, using crypto for settlements. And they did that at 2 levels. They did that at the wholesale level, so that inter-central bank settlement, I think it was, and then they did it at the kind of like the retail level, so that was the interbank settlement level as well. And they produced a really good report on it as well. So you can see that the Middle East is definitely on a tipping point, and like Dubai is one of the places for blockchain and crypto innovation. They've got loads of conferences going on there. It's quite crypto savvy. Really interested. So yeah,
it's quite crypto savvy, I think, because a lot of the digital nomads spend time there. I think there's less restrictions over there on how much time you can spend if you're a digital nomad.
Yeah,
for everything.
I think you're right, and I think when the whole COVID thing was developing, I was amazed the number of people I knew who were still going out to Dubai, and it was all crypto related. So yeah, definitely another one to look at. So what else is happening in the world? Anyone got any exciting things?
I was going to say, do we know what the Scandinavian countries are doing? Because they're quite innovative and they are quite conservative at the same time.
Yeah. So I know Sweden was planning on launching the e-krona. So that was not necessarily a cryptocurrency, but was a central bank digital currency. So it would have features similar to crypto. And that has been delayed for 2 years, I believe. I suspect that might have been a political thing, as there are concerns about a digital currency run by government. And the Swedes are quite... They seem to listen to their citizens. And so I think they've taken a step back on that. I don't know what else is going on in the Scandinavian region. Up the coast, Estonia, a bit further along. I mean, they were doing a lot of stuff, particularly around blockchain development. And Estonia was the first with its e-register of citizens, where they put their entire citizens on a blockchain. And then they've extended that, and then Georgia also did the same. And I think there was some talk recently about Estonia building further on that in some way with a digital currency. So this has been setting the whole conspiracy people off like mad of late, because it might be that Estonia is kind of at the leading edge of having a computer digital identity scheme which has details of all your property. So, you know, where you live, what car you own, your medical records, linked in with a cryptocurrency or a digital currency, sorry. So, yeah, so some of the more libertarian people are saying, hang on, this sounds a bit scary.
Zanzibar also is adopting World Mobile. So that will roll out the internet to those who don't have access to it. So I had an email come through from World Mobile, and I bought their tokens, and the tokens I bought for much more than they're currently worth. But anyway, so they are doing rolling out in so they've got Tanzania, they've got Zanzibar. So you know what happens when one country adopts. It's the same with the adoption of Bitcoin. I know Cuba's gone to this really odd place where they will accept Bitcoin as a payment, but it's not a currency. It's not a recognized currency. Very odd move from Cuba. It's a bit like, this communist experiment hasn't quite worked out, so we're going to dip our toe in capitalism, but not completely. You know? So, I don't really know what Cuba's playing at the moment, but it's quite interesting.
Well, I think popping back down to Central America, you look at like Honduras, Nicaragua, these kind of things. I think El Salvador was seen as possibly that first domino to fall, and you might then see other countries aligning as well. And it's smaller countries that have got less to lose that are going to be more willing to try things out. So yeah, interesting stuff. Anything else happening then? Because crypto itself seems to have been relatively stable this week. Looking at the prices, I know Bitcoin's been kind of like buffering down to, is it down to 45 up to $47,000? Go on, Rachel.
Just because I'm just thinking how they always saying that it's crashed, you know, but then when you look at it, it's gone down by like 7% or something, which is actually not any, I don't call that crashing really. So do you think it's just the media being really negative? And
well, it's a crash if you live in a traditional world where prices don't move that much and where the market's relatively stable, static and regulated. So you're right, you know, Bitcoin has actually dropped by 15% several times now. You know, I stuck a LinkedIn post out about it the other day to say, this is not a crash, this is just this is another day in the life of crypto. And so I think it's simply that the people who aren't used to this extreme levels of volatility are just saying, oh, it's a crash. And again, in LinkedIn post, I think I put out, you know, okay, so it's dropped down to $45,000, which means it's dropped right the way back to the price it was last month.
It's not actually a big deal because you're in it, if you're in it for the long term and hodling or whatever, actually, you know, you've got to look back and say, well, actually last year my Bitcoin was worth this and now it's worth this. So even if it's crashed by 7%, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fear mongering, I think. And I'm trying to learn to ignore this and not worry too much when it's going down. Because if you look at the graph, it's going down, but then eventually it always returns to above a previous high.
Yep.
Although it hasn't done quite yet, has it, from the previous, what they call the crash from.
Aren't we? That's what we're waiting for. Quarter four comes. That's what everyone's waiting for. Quarter four. Everyone's expecting some serious price movement. So, you know, is this going to be the only bull run, which is another blow off top? I doubt it. You're saying those hedge funds aren't going to make. They're going to make money like hand over fist over this next quarter. Everyone knows it's coming, unless there's like a real kind of you know, dark swan, like black swan event, like, and let's just hope there isn't one. So, you know, like,
what's the black swan event?
Deflation. They think like deflation can't happen like that. You know, we're still in rampant inflation. Like, it's not like deflation's coming. It's going to take months, you know, for it to come. Everyone needs to just
not worried about that. Well, I was reading this book by Ray Kurzweil, and he spends a lot of time in his book talking about exponential increases and exponential curves and stuff, and parabolic curves. And one of the things he said was really interesting is that, like, the human brain is not really set up to understand exponential increases, because they are an increase on an increase. And they're squared, obviously, or cubed or whatever, or x to the power of y, which could be anything. And one of the things he said, which kind of keeps me hanging on with crypto, is that for a long time, when something's really purely exponential, for a long time, it looks like nothing is really happening. And I think that's a really, really interesting. So it will go along, if you draw any doubling thing, it will go along looking like nothing much is going on. And then you'll get an apparent, very, very sudden increase, which will go through the roof. And he's shown this pattern in, like, technology and the cost of processors and all these other different things. So I'm just kind of clinging on to that hope that, although there are these ups and downs, and it's not taking off quite in the way that I hoped it would at the moment, that this will happen. We're just sort of in the phase where it's still not quite reached the leg of the curve, the knee. Yeah. And it's still not quite going up. Well, so
do you know about the lily pad explanation around exponential growth? If you think you've got a pond for a minute and it's got a lily on it, and then the next day it doubles, so it's now got 2 lilies on it, and it's got 4 lilies on it, 8 lilies, and so on. You don't actually notice that many lilies on the lily pond until 2 days before it's completely covered.
That's it. Yeah. That's what's interesting.
Yeah, I think it takes 48 days in total, but it's not until the 45th or 46th day that you go, hang on, there's a lot of lilies around here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's too late. And this is the thing, that's why they worry about things like virus outbreaks. If they're in exponential growth phase, people can't easily comprehend the rate of change that leads to. And same with crypto. So yeah, I think that's part of the problem, that some things are growing so fast that you just can't realize just how fast they are growing in some way.
Actually, another way to this exponential growth is commonly communicated is using a doubling of number of grains or whatever you have on the square on a chessboard, basically.
Yeah.
Put 2 grains on one, on the next one so keep on doubling, and by the time you won't have enough number of atoms or whatever in the universe to put on the last, by the time you reach whatever 50th or some square, you have outgrown basically the available information or anything unit that you talk about. Yeah. Rachel, you mentioned earlier ADA. Do you do technical analysis or something, or are you basing your comment on the ADA going up in future? Because I looked at Bitcoin in retrospect on technical analysis viewpoint, and 30,000 seemed to indicate that it is the bottom based on Bollinger Bands and stochastics and so on. Those traditional technical indicators?
I'm doing it more in intuitive ways, I think, of just where it's come from, which was kind of nowhere a year or 2 ago. And I've just been watching it for quite a long time without buying it. And then I just think that in my mind, I think that proof of work cryptos are going to be out and proof of stake ones are going to be in. And I think that Bitcoin is good, but I think it's almost, I just keep thinking of the parallels with the .coms and the internet web browsers that they said, there were loads of different ones, weren't there? There were 20 different web browsers at the beginning, and now there's only Google, but you don't know which one is going to be that Google. And
sorry, what's Google? You mean Brave?
I mean, yeah. You don't know which one is going to be the market dominating one in the future. But I don't know if it's going to be Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the first one, and it's kind of might become like a dinosaur where it's just too clunky and there's too many things wrong with it. And then other new ones are going to solve all those problems that Bitcoin's got. And then, so that's why I think I'm watching ones that are coming up quickly and gaining a lot of market capitalization. and sort of because they're, you know, I'm looking at market capitalization more than price, I suppose, because once they start getting up in the top 10, then I start being interested in them. And I think it's just an intuitive thing, really. Isn't it? I haven't done really any particular analysis on it.
Can you, Gary, can you put up a slow stochastics indicator on this ADA screen? Can you?
That involves me remembering how to use TradingView on Binance. Not easily, I don't think.
Because I find slow stochastics and stochastics RSI to be useful indicators for picking up this kind of, you know, direction trading and that kind of thing.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll pull up the RSI later on, stochastics, and I'll include that in this video. I'm just getting a few problems. I've not got a mouse at the moment, so it's a bit of a pain to try and move things around. But yeah, I'll pull something up on that. So you look at it in terms of stochastics around RSI and what moving averages?
Yeah, MACD and stochastics. These are the main, I think, or others being like, you know, Bollinger Bands and that kind of,
In fact, it's something that there are so many trading indicators. At some point, it'd be worthwhile running a session around MACDs, RSIs, 200-day moving averages, 20-day moving averages, so we could look at things like golden crosses and whatever else as well. And
death crosses.
Death crosses, yeah.
The only thing
just the basics of TradingView. I think TradingView is an amazing tool. It has all these indicators built in.
Yep.
But the basics of finding your way around it for people that are newer, I found that them sort of sessions have been really appreciated.
Okay, it's something I'll take a look at pulling together something on that this week, actually, because I'm getting more and more people saying to me, oh right, okay, so I've got some crypto and I'd like to start trading, but I've heard of all these indicators. And my answer usually is don't use any of them. Go and read up on how to use them first. You know, don't just start dabbling, because usually you find it's not using one indicator that helps you. It might be three. So, you know, you might be looking at the volume, which gives an indication, and you might be looking at the highs and lows and the trading bands, plus then you use MACD or RSI. So usually most of the traders, they use multiple indicators, and some of them are indicating, oh, it looks like we're in a particular market and therefore I'm looking at this range. And then they use other indicators to actually help them with the buy decisions. So
I'd use both leading indicators and lagging indicators. Like the MACD and RSI bounce off each other very well, one being leading and one being lagging for double confirmation or something.
Okay.
So you can find both leading and lagging indicators and combine them. But you want to be really careful as well that you're not using too many indicators and overdoing it. You need to kind of pick indicators and stick with them. And, you know, see, I think, you know, you're going to get a whatever 60% success rate or whatever it is, but you won't get that if you're continuously changing indicators.
Yep. I think that's where it comes down to. If you go on a trading course, they will teach you about the psychology of trading and about how you need to develop two things. One is a risk management approach, so that you don't go and throw all your crypto on one coin and hold and hope. And the other is about developing a trading strategy, which is where you actually work out what you're going to do before you do it, write it down, and then go and do it, and then see if it worked or not, as opposed to, oh, give this a go, and oh, look at this, and oh, look at this, which is just a great way of losing your money very quickly.
Just on that psychology, some of you may have noticed when I shared my chart earlier on that the candle indicators were the opposite way around. I have my reds going up and my greens going down. I'm not sure if any of you has actually spotted that, but it has led to confusion in the past.
I thought the chart was upside down.
Yeah, no, I've purposely switched. I have reds for going up and greens for going down.
Is that because you short the market a lot?
That's because you're meant to sell when it's going up and buy when it's going down.
Okay.
100%. I do that on my Binance as well. I've got the option of I'll switch it. I mean, you wouldn't buy a house if it was worth 75% well, you'd want to buy it when the market was on the low. So yeah, completely agree with that.
Interesting. It's where I find this is useful with the groups like this, that you pick up these useful little tips and tricks, which are going to make such a difference. So, okay, we've got 5 minutes left. So I was going to throw it out to say, does anyone have any questions or comments or anything? Anything they're keen to ask?
I want to...
I'm sorry, let the other person go. I'll talk about it.
Thanks, Sam. I wanted to check if people have heard about Hex, H-E-X. I put it on the WhatsApp group as well a few days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. There's someone in Twitter who's really bullish on that, and it sounds like a CD type of coin from my primitive brain of understanding crypto. No other kind of utility. Gary, you're nodding over. You probably have come across it. Could you shine some light on it?
I've seen some comments about Hex every so often, but I've never got into it myself. And it's kind of funny because most of the stuff I see about Hex is people saying, "Who knows about Hex?" It's a bit like Pi, But everyone keeps coming up every so often saying, "Has anyone heard about Pi?" Because they keep hearing about this. So I don't actually know anything specific about Hex. Apart from is it Richard Hart?
Richard Hart, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, he tends to promote it quite a lot.
I think the way it's been done, I think it raises all sorts of kind of concerns about, is it a scam kind of thing? And that's why people are inquiring if anyone else have heard or things like that. So they actively encourage stacking because that will reduce the number in circulation and it will go up in price kind of thing. And stacking gives you reward, of course. So people kind of do the stacking ladder every year, going forward multiple years.
Okay.
It's kind of too good to be too kind of message.
For some reason, I had that linked with a pyramid scheme, and I might be being unfair to it, but I thought there was something about an incremental, whether it was like an MLM, so a multi-layer marketing type thing linked with it. I may have that wrong, in which case I apologise to them now. But
well, I mean, one of the things is I don't think it is the traditional MLM or pyramid type scheme because the person who's talking about it has no referral links or nothing backtracking to them for them to benefit, other than the whole community. If the price goes up, then they benefit in that sense.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anyone putting their hand up to say, "Hey, I know about it." So I'm guessing the answer to your question at the moment is no. But what one to certainly keep an eye on. But you do get some like this which come in every so often. Pi is the other one at the moment. I'm seeing that reappear at the moment, and it's always the exact same email of or message of, there's these former MIT people who've come up with a completely new cryptocurrency, blah 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 type thing. And as soon as I start seeing certain phrases, I just go leave it type thing. So, but Pi is kind of curious because it's not live yet, and it seems to be just a massive email gathering exercise or email address exercise. I don't know if anyone knows any different.
There's another one very similar to Pi, I think, called B as well. All the kids in Ireland have it. They think they're mining crypto on their mobile phones.
I've not heard that one, but there are all these ones that come up every so often. The thing that I tend to notice is that there are certain, particularly crypto mining ones that come up that I get asked about by people who've got no knowledge of crypto whatsoever, and they've clearly been targeted. A little bit like how OneCoin went. In fact, OneCoin was incredibly successful because it was the biggest non-crypto scam that didn't involve crypto people at all, and that's because crypto people would have taken one look at it and said that doesn't work. So you do find that if you get people who get in touch with you who say, "Oh, I've had this message about this crypto thing. You know about crypto, don't you?" You go, "Yeah." "Oh, it's a thing called whatever." If you've not heard of it and they've been approached first, then that's a bit of an odd one. Yeah. Okay, so B, we'll keep an eye out for that, Paula, and see if it makes it across the Irish Sea and we see it over here at any point. Okay. Well, look, we're coming on to 8 o'clock. and I always like to close on time. So with that, I suggest we'll close this off for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for loads of contributions there, loads of different ideas, new suggestions. Hopefully see you again next week. For those who watch the recording, click on the subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. And go and wash your hands. And have a good one. Bye, folks.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.